Okay.
Yeah.
So whenever you're ready to start reading, it's already shooting?
Yeah. Okay. Whichever. Okay, so this will be the last reading, the fifth. And anyways, I think try to get whatever I need done with this. The first thing I'll read from is a playwright's notebook. It's the earliest thing, and I'm going to, it was compiled in the early 70s. And there's only one piece I'm going to read from it. It came from National Geographic, I believe, and it's called The Beautiful People of Nepal. The people of Nepal are beautiful, and the more simple, the more beautiful are the people. The values, for example, are not the same as the middle class. The people do not despair until we remind them. The highest infant mortality rate does not discourage them. Even the monsoons that wash away the terrace gardens, and then the plants are gone, and soil follows, and the retreat is on, and all flee from the rushing rivers to the flat plains now flooded with people and water. Life, the proverbial gift of God, is down but never done unless we will it. And the people arose and banded together to plant trees and save the hills and save the mountains. When in nature we are all resolved, and all is one and one is all, and I love you, people of Nepal, and I praise your men and run after your women and kiss the children. That's from Playwright's Notebook. So titled because I'd already written my stage work before, and so that's why that title came upon things. This one will be the main reading, Travel Sketches, and it has a subject matter, three sections. One, a pueblo in Chihuahua, Mexico, named Namaquipa. The other, Hawaii, when I had a summer and a little money to go there, and it's called Hawaiian Journal. And the last one is a run-through of my decade, or almost a decade, of Virginia before I came to El Paso. Now the Namaquipa, I'm just going to read first a small poem, if you like. It's I just have it, Domingo, as an entry from a journal. It goes, standing there, eyes vacant, mouth drooping, what they fail to see is that all I want to do is to come home at night to this pre-verbal woman in El Pacifico, having hoed the frijoles all day, and sink into her primordial swamp. And then I'm going to read, this will be a longer entry, and it has to do with an adventure I had, again in Namaquipa. And it goes, Domingo, another Sunday, I was there 3 weeks, and it goes as a reading. The cattle were as beautiful as any animals I had ever seen. Brahmins with big humps, well-shaped heads, beautiful color markings, and intelligent eyes. The first time I'd seen them was on my first trip here, when El Señor took us out to the ranch in the evening. It was misting and the landscape stark as they appeared over a hill as the truck approached. They branded the calves for purpose of theft and then loaded them onto a light truck. Then they brought in the big trucks and started cutting the cattle in the corral and running them up a ramp into the back of the trucks. Then we started off for the Sierras, where the cattle would have more water. The drive was a long, bumpy affair as we made our way across the trackless landscape in low gear. After a couple of hours, Armando came to the lead truck to say a cow was down and the nervous other animals were stepping on her. As they couldn't get her up, they decided to back the two trucks together, lift the latches, and coax a large bull over to the less crowded truck to give her more room. Then the down cow was jabbed in the stomach until she got up and we got underway. We continued in low gear until we reached a pueblo and stopped for water. Then we started up again, only to this time be stopped by El Señor, who told us his pickup had broken down and for us to wait for him there while he went back for a mechanic. The wait was interminable, and I wondered how El Señor could expect us to wait for him for however so long. Eating tender stalks of corn, the Mexicans were having a good time, telling stories and laughing, and I decided Mexicans could make a fiesta out of anything. When we returned, we started again. Dusk was near and the mountain far, and to my way of thinking, the cattle mere exhaustion. After a short time, El Señor signaled me to come with him. I hopped into his truck and with his wife and 2 children. He was in good spirits and joked about how good the road was, and we were all in good spirits, and the landscape was beautiful. After a while, we stopped and got out and started lifting rocks, for what seemed to me no apparent reason, until we had a pile of rocks and a clearing from the road into a field. Then we got back into the truck and drove across the field to a dry riverbed. There we got out, and again I followed him, lifting and rolling whatever rocks he pointed to, and said, "Esti." I had become so enthusiastic that if he had pointed to the mountain and said, "Esti," I would have tried lifting it. This continued for some time, with us clearing the way until we reached the road once more. Then we drove into the night, with cows crowded alongside the road, a coyote running out of light's reach, and the mountains at our flank and straight ahead. When we arrived at the corral, we unloaded the trucks when he ordered me, "Vamos." As we drove back quickly across the dirt road, I saw lights flashing in the distance and realized it must be his repaired truck following. He started signaling back until we arrived at the dry riverbed, got out, and here he told me something about "you drive solo," and walked down into it. There he stopped, took off his hat and glasses, and placed them carefully aside. Then he bent over to drink from a small pool of water among the rocks, like a deer might do, with just his lips touching. All was silent and frozen in time. Then we got up and prepared himself again, and we started walking toward the approaching truck. When it saw us, he signaled me to the truck left behind, and then I understood what he had meant. Walking back alone in the night in the mountains of Mexico with a people whose language I could not understand, I let out a hearty shrill, and for the first time understood what it meant to be cabron. Unfortunately, it didn't last long, for when I reached the truck, I backed it into a gully. And then when I tried to get out, I ran it onto a boulder and got stuck, and had to run for El Señor or someone to get me off. Later, starting back in the night, I redeemed myself somewhat, jumping from the truck and running down the road to where I knew it turned off into the field, signaling the lost caravan across. So that ends my Namakipa part of travel sketches. And so now we'll go into Hawaiian Journal. This will be poems and some prose, and whatever the difference might be in between some of that too. I'll start with North Hotel Street. The neighborhood whores hanging around the corners, scurrying like roaches when a policeman walks by. The old Chinese lady wasn't there today, making accommodating gestures like I were an honored guest. The whole place like an ancient movie set, the old wooden stools and booths with each customer cut from stone, a scene from yesterday, playing a part in a very narrow passage. Bus ride to Sandy Beach. The chorus of "fucking howlies" by the locals, we being the only ones left on the bus, the whites, except for me, having departed at Hanauma Bay. Her pink flesh showing much too much sex, shifting in the aisles of innocence. The native boys salvoed their insults, "fucking howlies," and every last one of them, cowards. A short poem. The Hawaiian Hilton, coffee for 60 cents a cup, my thumb swollen from the thorn yesterday, climbing up Hanauma's walls, bare-legged no less. Hanauma Bay. Climbing up the rock so brittle it crumbles underhand, a mouth without tooth. Above, the invasion of the waves has eaten half the cone away, the crater now a sanctuary of fishes. On the way back, the brownness of the earth surrounds and cradles me, the lava cooled in coils, hardening like magnificent cow dung. This is the first longer poem, I suppose, and it's one I do like. The Ride to Caniohay. The ride to Caniohay. The people falling asleep on the hot end of the day bus. My first sighting of the Hawaiian mountains. They protrude from the earth like primordial scales of dragon and three-horned dinosaurs. Frozen stiff in effigy, they survey the fleeting skins and powder-puff civilization. Assured as Notre Dame, the flying buttresses fasten the mountains to the valley floors in one verdant sweep down the slippery cliffs. Cuneiform perpendicularity, a primeval ascent, the tremendous weight that formed these walls, the erosion, biting out huge blocks of frozen lava, curling them into bones, a hip bone, a pelvis, ulna, a radial. Wind erosion and sea erosion hollows like the sockets of your eyes. A woodwind quartet of rain, sea, wind, and sun grating the surface of Mother Earth. Well, all right, I'm going to get a drink of water. And I'm not reading very well. I know I'm not making any contact, but at least most of the words hopefully are coming through. A couple, grammatical errors here and there, but again, it's the best I can do. I'm never having done before. All right, I'm going to get some water.